Now that we did part B, we're going to do part C, D, E, and F in this video. So starting with 192, and again, you might see other ways to simplify a radical, but I like doing it the factor tree method because you'll never go wrong with that, and you'll never be hung up on guessing, well, is this a perfect square or is that a perfect square when you get to larger numbers. So the first thing I want to do is I want to look at 192, and I want to see what numbers go into 192. So the first number that I see is 2. So I'm going to split this, and I'm going to have 2 times 96. Now 2 is prime, so I'm going to circle it, and 96 can be simplified to, well, let's do 2 again, and that's 2 and 48. 2 is prime, I'll circle it, and then I have 48, and I'll do, how about 6 and 8? You could do 12 and 4, or you could do 2 and 24, anything you want. You'll get the same prime factorization because, as you should know, every number only has one prime factorization. So 6 will give me 3 times 2, and those are both prime. And 8 will give me 2 and 4. And finally, 4 will give me 2 and 2. So now that I have my prime factorization, because all of my prime factors are now circled, I'm going to go to that thing we call the radical party, okay? And we're going to look for couples at this radical party, and those couples are going to go outside the party, and the singles are going to stay inside. So as we find a couple, we'll cross off 2 couples, and they leave, and they become 1 right here. So we have 1, 2 on the outside. Now we have another pair of 2s down here, and we take those 2 2s, and we write them as 1 on the outside. And we have another pair of 2s over here, so we're going to take those 2 2s, and we're going to write 2 on the outside. Finally, we have 1 single 3 left inside, so we're going to leave that 1 single 3 inside by itself. Now on the outside, we have 2 times 2 times 2. That will be 8, radical 3. And don't forget, every radical has a plus or minus answer. So we have plus or minus 8, radical 3. If we go to square root of 240, well, yeah, 2 goes into 240, but I'm going to start off, how about with 24 and 10? Because numbers that end in 0, we could skip right to 10 and 24. And then 24, I might see that it's 3 times 8. 3 is prime. And then 8 will give me 4 and 2. 2 is prime, but 4 can be simplified to 2 times 2, and those are both prime. Circle both of those. And then finally, I can't forget about this 10 up here. 10 is the square root of 5 times the square root of 2. So now that I have my prime factorization, it's time to make my big radical and look for pairs. So let's see, I have a pair of 2s right here and here, so I'm going to put a 2 on the outside. I have another pair of 2s down here, so I'm going to put another 2 on the outside connected by multiplication. And then I've got a single 3, so I'm going to write a single 3 on the inside and a single 5. So the same way I connect them by multiplication on the outside, I'm going to connect them by multiplication on the inside. So I'm going to simplify my outside as 2 times 2, which will give me 4, and my inside, 3 times 5, which will give me 15. Again, every square root will have a positive and negative answer, so I want to make sure to write that positive and negative sign. Otherwise, you're only giving one of 2 possible solutions. All right, part E says 90. So 90 can simplify to the square root of 9 times the square root of 10. Again, it ends in the 0, so I'm going to do 9 times 10. And the square root of 9 will be square root of 3 times the square root of 3. We could go ahead and we could circle those. 10 will simplify to the square root of 5 times the square root of 2, and 2 and 5 are both prime, so we could circle those. Now we're going to draw our big radical. We're going to see what we have pairs of. Well, I see that I have a pair of 3s right here, so I'm going to cross off 2 3s and write 1 3 on the outside. I have a single 5 and a single 2, so I connect those by multiplication inside. And now to simplify f 3, radical 5 times 2 is 10. And I can't forget about what? The plus or minus. So we've got plus or minus 3 radical 10. Okay? We've got one more. Square root of 84. Well, I know that it's an even number, so 2 goes into it. How many times? 42. So I circle the 2, and I could simplify the 42 to 7 and 6. If you did 2 and 21, that's fine as well. 7 is prime. 6 can be simplified to 3 and 2. And once I have all of my prime factors, which I do now, I could draw my radical. And do I have a pair of anything? Yes, I do. I have a pair of 2s. 1, 2 here and 1, 2 there. Anywhere on the prime factor tree is fine. Now, I write 1, 2 on the outside because of my pair of 2s. And then I have a single 7 and a single 3. So those two will stay on the inside of their square root and multiply together. I could simplify this to 2 radical 21. And don't forget that plus or minus for both of your answers. Positive 2 radical 21 and also negative 2 radical 21. So if you have any questions with this one, if you're not sure of anything, you can go back, rewatch this video. And once again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button.